G'day, my name is Blair Warner and today I'll be taking you through a preview of Auckland FC's 25-26 season. In this video I'll be talking about transfers, squad depth, my expectations for the season and what you as a fan can expect from Auckland FC in the upcoming OFC Pro League. So to start off with, we'll get into transfers. Scott Morris was the first signing to be announced, or at least to be leaked. That news was broken just before the first semi-final. 24-year-old keeper from the Stoke Academy. But I'll get more into everything around that in a sec. Another long-term target for Auckland FC is winger Lachlan Brook, signed from Real Salt Lake in the MLS. Scored 9 goals for Wanderers in the 23-24 season, which is at and about what Nathan Moreno scored for us last season. So I'm really hoping Lachlan Brook can replicate that kind of form. And then Scott Morris's replacement, Oliver Sale, aka Ollie Sale, came from Perth. He signed on what I assume to be a 1-year deal with the appearance-based extension that other players have had last season. A bit... We'll see what happens with that one. And another one that's a bit mess, Sam Cosgrove. English striker, has played at almost every level in England, every professional level in England. Had a fantastic stint at Aberdeen. And then on loan, Jake Goodwood-Reich, a 21-year-old centre-back that also dabbles a bit in the midfield. Was a former Corica player, so I'm hoping he's able to just step in and really just gel straight away with this team. Outgoings, a couple of really big players have left, which is really Alex Paulson, of course, the obvious one, leaving an impossibly big hole to fill. His loan has, of course, ended and he's gone back to Bournemouth and then back out on loan to Lechia Gdansk in the Ekstraklasa in Poland. Where he's actually having a pretty good season so far. Max Mata returned to Shrewsbury at the end of his loan, but has recently terminated his contract due to an injury, a serious hamstring injury, I believe. Tommy Smith went back to England, is now playing for Braintree Town, where Henry Gray was last season. Nathan Moreno left after such a great season for us. He's now back in Colombia playing for Atletico Bucaramanga, I believe it is. Scott Galloway is currently at Preston Lions. He'll be playing Oz Championship this season, so be sure to keep an eye out for him if you're watching that. And Scott Morris, brought in, of course, first signing of the window. Unfortunately, a reoccurring hip injury has forced him into retirement, which is really unfortunate. I had relatively high hopes for him when the news first came out, and it's really unfortunate to see a player that young forced into retirement. And Lewis Toomey aged out of his scholarship deal, but I'll get more into that in a second. So yeah, but he was recently training with a National League team in preparation for a move to the USL. And something that the coach of said team spoke to me about was how different a player Lewis Toomey was after his stint at Auckland. There was references to him not necessarily being the hardest worker off the ball, not doing a lot in defence, and he's just come out the other side, completely different player, willing to chase the ball, willing to come back, defend, do all that kind of stuff, which I think shows a really positive sign within the club, showing players are coming in, improving, even when they leave. Even if they're not considered good enough, they're coming out the other side better players, which gives me hope for some of those reserves lads that maybe are training with the first team but not quite able to crack the said first team. Moving on to the squad now. There is a big question mark over who gets that starting spot between the sticks. I know a lot of people have been off-put by that Michael Vowd performance against Heidelberg. I myself, there was one particular incident I really did not like from Michael Vowd. It was for that first goal when he came rushing out. You see him start to lean down and prepare to take basically everyone out in the slide. But at the very last second, he pulls out and just leaves Hall just hung out to dry. And the thing is, I think Ollie Sale would just clatter everyone involved. You know, he'd take the ball, he'd take Hall, he'd take Joash. Hell, he may even get a red card, you know, for the last man challenge. But I don't think we would have conceded, you know, in that situation because of it. So it'd be a very interesting battle, especially with what Nick Becker has told me about the overage player situation in the OFC Pro League, which I'll get more into later on. And of course, Joe Knowles, our scholarship keeper, has a long-term injury. I've got honestly no idea when he'll be back. But yeah, so we'll see what happens on that front. And defence, not a great deal of change. Tommy Smith has returned to England and Jake Goodwood-Reich has replaced him. I think that is just a straight-up upgrade. Nando Peinecker will be out till about round 4, so yeah. But other than that, I fully expect this defence to kick on and continue where they left off last season. I don't see any reason to expect anything less. Moving on to midfield. Again, same thing. Absolutely no change in the midfield. Everyone's still there. You know, Gallegos will be out until round 3 at least, by the sounds of it. So, yeah, but like the one thing I will say is Cam Howison did not really impress me last season. He was given opportunities to come on and impact the game, and I just don't think he was able to do that. He was offered opportunities, you know, as in a more forward role early on in the season, got chances sitting in that midfield pivot, and I don't really think he influenced the game in ways that they were hoping. What I am hoping is I'm hoping Finn McKinlay can step up to the plate. He got the short end of the stick last season. He got thrown into a game against arguably the best midfield in the league with very little cover defensively. Had a bad game. He had a bad game and was then cast back to the reserves again, almost never to be seen again. So yeah, really unfortunate for him. But I do really hope he can get some more minutes and really get in there with a stronger team around him. Would be fantastic for his development, I feel. And onto the forwards. This is what I'm most excited about. My Mata was a great pairing, though Mata struggled to find the back of the net. Sam Cosgrove, I'm hoping, has that killer finishing edge that can see him get into that golden boot race proper. I think we've got some fantastic options out wide. Marley Francois, Liam Gillian, Logan Rogerson, and of course new boy Lachlan Brook. Jesse Randall has been showing a great deal of promise in those central roles during pre-season, scored a lot of goals, and again is another player in the conversation for the OFC Pro League. So I think he could be a really crucial player for that endeavour. And a big thing to note is Liam Gillian is ageing out of his scholarship deal, not unlike how Lewis Toomey did last season. So, yeah, that'll be another thing to keep an eye out for, is his performances and really how he can better his chances at staying in this team in the coming season. This here is basically my predicted 11 going into that Melbourne victory game in round 1. No Peinecker, no Gallegos, so I expect pretty much stock standard lineup from what was last season essentially. Same formation. From what I've heard, it'll be Michael Vowd starting between the sticks. He's been given the nod. He's been promised the number 1 spot last season, which anyone who saw the documentary would know about. And they brought in Paulson. They promised to him that spot to him this season. Then brought in Ollie Sale. So we'll see what happens on that front. And yeah. I don't think he's going to hold on to it particularly long. Yeah. And on to the fixtures. So, nothing really of note. We have quite a few home games at the front end of the season. So, hopefully we can use that to launch ourselves into a strong starting campaign. But there'll be an extra double-up fixture this season with Western United going under. So, Newcastle Jets and Central Coast Mariners will be the double-up home games, and the Wellington Phoenix and Sydney FC will be the double-up away games. I think this is pretty balanced. Central Coast not looking great, Jets looking pretty good, Nick's not looking great, Sydney looking pretty good. I don't think it's particularly unfavourable. It's not particularly favourable. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a nothing burger fixture, really. There's not really much else to say about it. And this here is my season predictions. I think we go all the way again. I don't see why not. Melbourne City are already hit with injuries. I think Melbourne Victory have put together a solid squad, but I think we've gone that level up. And I think the way that things ended last season will hopefully spur the boys on to really kick on and fight for another trophy to go a step further and go all the way to the finals. And now moving on to something that I see a lot of confusion about, and that is how the contracts work in the A-League. It is a bit of a confusing system, but I'll do a quick breakdown of it for you. So you've got 4 different types of contracts: marquee, designated player contracts, first team contracts, and scholarship contracts. So 3 of these contracts actually are outside of the salary cap. That is marquee, designated player, and scholarship contracts, but they are all for different things. So your marquee contracts, that's your big names, your Joe Lollies, your Douglas Costas, minimum $600,000 salary, essentially. And then designated player contracts, 400 to 600k, also outside the cap, as I said. And then first team contracts, that's just your standard first team players, your Pynekers, your Brimmers, your Jesse Randalls, those first team players. And scholarship contracts, they're your promising young talent that you're bringing into the first team fold. Your Liam Gillians, your Adama Koulibalys, your Finn McKinleys. They're on about 50-ish K is sort of what I've heard here and there, and that pretty much should hopefully help you understand how exactly this contract system works, or at least clear it up somewhat for you. And now onto Oceania Pro League. I had the opportunity to talk to Nick Becker about this at the Port season launch, and he broke it down for me. 3 teams: senior team playing A-League, an under-23s team playing OFC Pro League, and then under-20s team will be playing Northern/National League. That under-23s team going to the Pro League will also have 3 overage players available, working basically under the same rules as the Olympics. And so the OPL lineup will likely look something like this. You likely see scholarship players that aren't on the bench, your Bidwars, your McKinleys, etc. Starting new additions to the reserves, such as Sam Lack and Aston Burns. Reserves captain Cody Phoenix will likely bounce between first team and the OPL with the departure of Scott Galloway. So, and when I was talking to Nick Becker about it, there was a few names mentioned in that group of overage players. He said a senior keeper, Cam Howison, and one of the young attackers such as Jesse Randall or Liam Gillian. So I'd imagine whoever's number 2 among the keepers will likely get that nod between the sticks. Cam Howison, maybe McKinlay's going to be pushed up the ranks in midfield. And I imagine the Randall Gillian situation depends on who they feel is worth getting on the bench, whether maybe they feel Randall has a better opportunity to make an impact for the club here. There's also, I've put together a list of a few other young players to keep an eye on. Liam Hill in goal, Evan Masamba, James Mitchell, good midfielder, assisted the match-winning goal in the reserves derby scored by Aston Burns. Nathan Martin, good young midfielder. Van Fitzharris, recently joined from Tauranga City. Dejon Naidu, techie little winger, good player. And young gun Ben Perez-Baldoni won the Golden Boot at the OFC Under-16s. Scored a fantastic scissor kick on his weak foot in the final, and it was just great goal. And yeah, that's pretty much everything for the season. So that's my roundup of the season. Hopefully we go all the way. I will be streaming pretty much every away game. I will have those streams scheduled and up on my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want, so you're notified of those streams. But yeah, whenever there's a away game in Australia, I will likely be streaming it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you around.